And welcome to episode 5. Let's see. If we get lucky. We'll be checking back here. Or it's not a check back, but it's a check, even though we have top by top kicker. And we go for the value now. Not the best river, because this type of player will have flushes here still, and can also have something like 7-8 offsuit. Even though it seems ridiculous, but yeah. I don't know how to play this one actually. I feel like if we bet it's too thin. I'm gonna do it anyway, I think. Just bet fold. Because I fear that if I check that he will check back silly hands that should be betting. So I'm just betting myself. And basically hope that he makes a silly call. Which I think is more likely than him doing the bluffs he needs to be doing. I mean, that's a general assumption that it's kind of dangerous in the micros in general, but this type of player, if he has the pink tag, he limped at some point, which, yeah, at that point things do become a little bit more clear. Not sure if I should be betting here. Because I'm gonna do a lot of checking on the turn, and even the turns that I do improve on, they're actually not that, yeah, like, I don't know if my barreling strat here would work often enough. Against that hand, if he plays it that way, then my barreling strat does pretty well. So in general, the strat you should be playing on the macros is to not is basically c-bet the flop a lot, and c-bet a lot in general, but something that is really important is that very often if you bet the turn you want to bet the river as well. If you have a very high difference between your turn c-bet and river c-bet, or your flop c-bet and turn c-bet, like if there's really big gaps and it's a gap that where the frequency on the street before is much higher than on the next street, then that generates problems because people are pretty fucking sticky in Zoom. And it's not that they love catching, or I mean they do, but it's not like they are all fish. It's just that people in Zoom play so tight that they usually have something. So it's just hard for them to fold. And there's also obviously a lot of people that really just don't have the discipline and then sometimes make stupid calls, and on some days it seems like everyone is just making stupid calls all the time. And yeah, if you have big gaps between, like, let's say you have flop c-bet 60% and turn c-bet 40%, they exploit you with their stickiness. So you always want to make sure that if you bet that you already have a plan for the next street, and that you also have a plan that involves a lot of betting rather than checking. Or if you check, that you plan on, yeah, not just check folding every time. Just a little thing, because I have struggled with that over the last couple months. And then when I went back to analyze how I used to play in like April, May, where I was playing really well, I just noticed that my frequencies were a little bit different with the way I played both my bluffs and also my value bets. I just put a lot more thought into why I do certain things back then compared to what I did like a month ago. And I could also see it in my results, which were pretty bad. I mean, that's why I'm playing NL5 now too. I used to be on NL25 for nearly 500,000 hands. And the thing that kinda confused me was when I was looking into trying to improve my big blind win rate. And then I started doing a lot of experiments, and those experiments, I mean, now after I'm through with them, kind of, I think they paid off a lot. But yeah, they confuse you, they distract you from some other things that are sometimes more important. Like one thing, for example, is that if you focus on, okay, how do I play as the preflop caller out of position in big blind versus button, and you focus on that for like an entire month, the only studying you do or the only thinking in poker you do is focused on that, then you can lose track on how to actually play when you are the preflop raiser and you have the position and you sit in the button against big blind. And yeah, can get weird. Here we have a set here. I'm not gonna go crazy. It's really tough for him to have a strong hand. And if he has a super strong hand, then it's Jack 10. And Jack 10 has me beat, so we don't want to go too crazy there. We have an open and straight draw. I'm just gonna be betting. The backdoor flush draw is not useful, it's just a 10 high flush draw, it's completely useless. So if the turn is a spade, I will not probably give up actually and just try to realize my hand equity passively. Here, yeah, I think we just triple barrel here. Okay, now we get odds, I mean, just call. Hopefully we hit a 9 or a king. If we don't, I think he's on at least an ace. Could be an 8 as well, the way he played with the min raise on the turn. So I'm just folding. No need to be tricky. It's usually the way they play, the average guy. They play that they have exactly what they are representing. Even if they represent something that you think they cannot have because of the way they played the hand, they usually still have it in some form. Like, they just play weird, man. Like, you're in this weird spot where you open under the gun and then button 3-bets you call with ace king or something, and then the board is 2, 3, 5, 6, and you think, oh my god, this guy cannot ever have a 4 here other than ace 4 suited, and then yeah, you hit king king on turn and river, and so you now have ace king with trips, top trips, and the guy jams the river and you're like, yeah, okay, you know they never bluff these spots. So he must have a 4, but then you think about it, the only 4 he can have is ace 4 suited, and even that is kind of unlikely because they usually don't 3-bet that stuff, blah blah blah. Then you call, and boom, he shows like 4-7 offsuit. You know, like, or pocket 4s or some really ridiculous hand. And then, yeah, you can decide, do you say, okay, hey, that's just a cooler? Or do you say, I know they don't bluff jam the river there, and I should just fold my top trips even though it hurts. I mean, maybe that is a ridiculous example, but I think you know what I mean conceptually. King 10 would check back. He donks, if he donks that large and just fold flop already, it's very unlikely that he will not bet turn or river again, so we just fold on the flop already. Yeah, try to play passive. Yeah, we have a very strong draw, but it's a multi-way pot, so it's not strong at all. I mean, it's still strong, don't get me wrong, it's just that if I bet and they have a stronger hand, they will probably raise, and the pot is already so large. Blah blah blah. Now we just call. We're still drawing to the absolute nuts on both sides, so it's worth it. Best case scenario is they all call and the river's a 9. Because then any 8 that they could possibly have has also straight, and we have implieds. On an ace, it's also not that bad because they can have something like ace jack. The worst case would be if someone raises here, because then most likely we don't get the pot odds anymore to draw. Depends on the sizing though. So that guy seems to be timing out. And we break the river. We hope he checks so that we can bluff, but it's unlikely. But it does happen. And he folds. So that's nice hand of this episode. See you the next time. Leave a like or dislike and leave a comment. Bye bye.